What are hydrocarbons? What are alkanes? What are alkenes? What are alkynes? Let's study. Hydrocarbons. Now basically carbon containing compounds. Now all organic compounds contain carbon and hydrogen. So compounds containing carbon and hydrogen are termed as hydrocarbons. And this is an example of a hydrocarbon, how carbon and hydrogen can be linked to each other. So let's study how these hydrocarbons are formed. All organic compounds contain hydrogen along with carbon. They are the fundamental organic compounds, also known as the parent compounds. These compounds are also known as hydrocarbons. So these hydrocarbons, based on their structure, you remember straight chain, branch chain, closed chain, based on their structure are divided into two types, open chain hydrocarbons and closed chain hydrocarbons. So the open chain hydrocarbons are further divided as two types, straight chain hydrocarbons and branch chain hydrocarbons. Now these straight chain and branch chain hydrocarbons have the same molecules, which we are going to learn further. These straight chain and branch chain hydrocarbons are further divided into saturated and unsaturated. The understanding of saturated are when a carbon compound, a hydrocarbon in which carbon atoms are linked to each other by a single bond, is called saturated hydrocarbon. And these saturated hydrocarbons are also called as alkanes. And these alkanes have a single bond between both the carbons. Similarly, when I speak about unsaturated hydrocarbons are hydrocarbons containing not a single but a double or triple bond. So hydrocarbon in which the carbon atoms are linked to each other by double or triple bonds are called as unsaturated hydrocarbons. And these unsaturated hydrocarbons based on double and triple are termed as alkenes and alkynes, where alkene means a double bond between two carbons and alkyne means a triple bond between two carbons. So what are alkenes, what are alkenes, what are alkynes? They sound exactly the same. But an alkane, where you have to understand that the alkane, alk is a common generic term used for the family. And ane is because of the single bond. Alk is the general term, ene is because of the double bond. And alk is the general term and ine is the triple bond. So, a single bonded hydrocarbon is called an alkane, a double bonded hydrocarbon is called an alkene, and triple bonded hydrocarbon is called as an alkyne. So if you can see in the formula, you will see that two bonds of hydrogen have been removed from alkane to form an alkene. So the general formula of alkane is CnH2n plus 2. As you can see, two hydrogens are reduced. CnH2n plus 2 minus 2 gives you CnH2n plus 0, also called as CnH2n. Similarly, two more hydrogen bonds are removed for an alkyne, so therefore CnH2n minus 2. So alkanes contain two hydrogens less, as when I speak about alkynes, they contain 2 less from an alkene and 4 less from an alkane. So their general formula turns to be CnH2n minus 2. So what is this? The alkane, the ane indicates single bond, ene indicates double bond, and ine indicates triple bond. But what does this alk indicate? This is common for all, and it will be representing the number of carbon. So when the number of carbon is something, the name will change, and it is called as the root word. So if the number of carbon is 1 in a compound, it will be called as meth. Ring a bell? Methane, also called as methane actually. The pronunciation of methane is actually methane, but we generally use methane. The compound with 2 carbon atoms is ethane, also called as ethane nowadays. Compound with 3 carbon atoms is propane. 4 carbons, bute. 5 carbons, pent as in pentagon. 6 will be hex as in hexagon. 7 as in 7 is hept. 8 is oct, oct as in octagon again. 9 is non and 10 is dec. So meth, eth, pro, bute, pent, hex, hept, oct, non and dec. Remember, you will be asked maximum till 8 carbons, that is oct, but just in case, we just need to know the 2 extra ones. So formation of hydrocarbon, very, very important. Please pay attention. This is how a methane looks like. Now, if from a methane there is 1 carbon, so that is why the name is given as meth and the surname is again because of single bonds. So if you remove 1 hydrogen, what happens is a carbon can be substituted over there. But you know carbon has 4 bonds. So 4 bonds meaning 1 bond above, 1 bond light and 1 bond to the bottom, and hydrogens will come. Now the compound contains 2 carbons. So 2 carbon, the root word was eth, and a single bond, that is why it is ane. So the meth is replaced by eth and the compound name is ethane. Now from this ethane, you know what is a bond. A bond is basically 2 electrons. So the bond over there is 2 electrons, 1 of carbon, 1 of hydrogen, carbon cross and hydrogen dot. So if I remove 2 hydrogens, what will happen is these 2 reactive carbon electrons, these 2 electrons are reactive and they are both besides each other, they are going to react with each other. And when they react with each other, another bond is formed. You understood what happened? The carbon, number of carbon is still 2. So the name, the root word will be eth, but the surname will be ene. So it is ethene. Similarly, the 2 hydrogen bonds are removed, a double bond is formed. What if I remove 2 more hydrogens? If I remove 2 more hydrogens, another bond will be formed between the 2 carbons and now it will be a ethyne. So as a single bond has been replaced by a triple bond, ane gets replaced by ine and therefore ethyne is formed. And this is how hydrocarbons are formed, my dear friends. And after listening to this module, I hope you have got how simple this chapter can be. See you in the next module.